This is about as close as we get in the real world to actual magic. This is a magnet, just a plain old refrigerator magnet with a little clip on it that I literally grabbed off the fridge. And here are some plain old paper clips. And here's what I mean about being something that sure seems almost like honest to goodness magic. The way a magnet like this can just pick up paper clips, and they defy gravity, hanging up there, stuck to the magnet. Of course, a relatively small magnet will pick up a lot of paper clips, but not all of them. There are still a handful left here on the countertop there's just not enough magnetic power here. But if I had a stronger magnet, a bigger magnet, it would be possible not just to pick up some of the paper clips, but all of them, right? So if I had a larger one, say, I don't know, conveniently this large cross-shaped magnet, and, well, that's got enough power, that just picks up every last one of the paper clips. Like I say, it is almost magic the way whatever it is inside a magnetized piece of metal, the way it controls and aligns its magnetic field so that other things, paper clips, that are inert on their own, all of a sudden are drawn and pulled and stuck. It amazes me, even though I've seen magnets do things for all my life. You know, it's like beginning introductory science kit kind of an experiment. And yet it amazes me that with no moving parts, with no batteries, the magnet, whether it's on the refrigerator kind or this larger size one, makes other things drawn to it. It aligns the magnetic field within the paper clip so that now it attracts and sticks to the magnet. That idea, that kind of pull, that almost feels like magic. It's not that any of the paper clips are resisting and don't want to be pulled, but the pull of the magnet aligns them so that now they want to be drawn, sort of, to the magnet itself. Well, it makes me think of a way Jesus talks about what happens at the cross. This coming Sunday, we're going to hear this really, really powerful and unique passage out of John 12, where Jesus talks about his own death on the cross in almost magnetic terms. At one point, he says, when I am lifted up from the earth, this is Jesus' way, a polite euphemism for being strung up on a cross, right? Being executed, put up on a Roman death stake. When I'm lifted up, Jesus says, I will draw all people to myself. And draw is one of those words we don't often use in regular, ordinary English for that sense of pull, right? And when we do use it that way, it's almost sort of a coaxing, right? Like the smell of the really good cheesy potato soup in the kitchen drew me into the kitchen, right? Or the sight of the sunrise drew me out to the window. It's sort of a coaxing. But the word Jesus uses is something stronger. It's more like a pull. It's the same word you use in ancient Greek for dragging a net, or when some of the disciples later on get dragged in front of the high court, right? There's this sense of pull. There's a sense of relentlessness, of compelling pull that brings you somewhere else. Jesus says, in the cross, his action draws all people to himself. That ultimately, whatever else the cross is about God bringing people who were estranged back toward God, and that pull comes from God's side. This is a huge deal, because to be honest, a lot of folks have heard some version of the Christian faith that sounds more like, if you do your part and you walk closer to God, then if you get there, there's the prize, right? If sort of you make the journey and get to the destination to where God is, or to heaven, or whatever, then that's the Christian life, is you by your own power and volition going somewhere. And if you get lost, bad news for you. If you make it along the pathway, you've succeeded. Jesus doesn't talk like that. Jesus instead talks about his death on the cross being the thing that draws all people to himself, like a magnet pulling paper clips. They're not resistant, they're not opposed to it, but they're not bringing any energy to it. They're letting themselves be pulled. Maybe that's what it is to have faith in this life, letting Jesus' grip on us pull us toward God.
It is so easy to treat faith like it's a matter of my holding on to God. Sometimes even the way religious folks talk about it. Have you found Jesus? Makes it sound like Jesus is lost and it's up to me to find him. Or that it's about me holding on to Jesus. When did I invite Jesus? That kind of talk makes it sound like it's mostly about my grip on Jesus. When Jesus turns it the other way around, Jesus says at the cross, his action, his laying down his life, pulls, grabs, draws, yanks, holds like a magnet, and pulls all people to him. What does it look like to live in light of that kind of love that grabs hold of us, the love that won't let us go? That's the conversation we're having this coming Sunday, and we invite you to be a part of it as we continue this Lenten journey and here as we look closer at the cross. The cross of Jesus is good news. It's how God draws all people to Jesus. And that's what we are, people who found ourselves drawn to Jesus. And maybe like one paper clip that's been pulled to the magnet, pulling onto another, maybe that's it. Maybe through us, Jesus pulls somebody else closer as well. Join us for the conversation this coming Sunday. See you then.